Welcome, you guys. We are at the final episode of 2024. I am bringing on my most favorite guest, my husband, today, because we are giving you a behind the scenes look at our year end recap, where we definitely share some vulnerable things that we've learned throughout the year, but also talk about our strategy to move forward in our businesses, both independently and as a couple. So we hope this episode finds you enjoying the holiday season and really getting excited about all the things you've created in 2024 and what is coming for you in 2025. So again, thank you for being here. I'm so grateful that you listen every week, and I hope you enjoy this year end recap with my husband, Justin, and I. All right, welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. I have the most special guest as we round out the year of the final episode, and I am bringing back my husband, Justin. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We've recorded together a few times. I've been on his show. He's been on my show, but I thought there's probably nobody better to talk about how the year went in my world and in his world than your spouse. And these episodes always get I think there's so many learnings because we compartmentalize business. And so I come on every week and talk about businessy things, but we can't compartmentalize business from life. And there's so much that happens behind the scenes. So a little cue up if you haven't met Justin before or seen him in all of my social media. He makes cameos quite often. I'm just going to let him share what he does and how he has ended up where he is currently.
Like an intro?
Yeah, I think an intro would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my name's Justin Walker. That's where she gets her last name.
Good call. Well played.
So I own a company called Milmac Blades. You can see it on the hat, Milmac.
Oh, P.S. If you're wanting to see us, we're snuggled together here inside my home studio, so you can catch us on YouTube where the actual video will be.
Correct. Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Go.
So I own a company called Milmac Blades. We specialize in custom and production blades, knives. We have a Copper State line. Copper State Knife Company is our hunting outdoor side. So that's kind of my business. I also do some consulting in the tactical realm, security realm for various like U.S. government agencies. And then I'm a retired police officer. Spent almost all my career with Phoenix PD on our SWAT team there and ran our sniper program for a long time. And but now I'm done with that and on to different things.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. It served us well, and now we're on to different things. So I kind of queued up Justin on what we're going to dive into, but wherever the conversation takes us is where we're going to go. And so I think that at the end of the year, here's how I've personally felt, and I want to know how you felt. There are years like this one for me, where I feel like I have a clear path to play in 2025. In my business, I'm very clear on how we're going to get to the next thing, or at least I think I'm clear on that. I feel energized. I'm ready to go. And then there are years where I'm literally crying because I feel like something's wrong with me because I don't have clarity on what the new year brings. But I think I've had a history up until the last few years of putting way too much pressure on this time of year and the transition from one year to the next. What are your thoughts around that? Just for you, not necessarily for me. I know you have plenty of thoughts
I think New Year's resolutions are good, but like a lot of people just use it as a restart. And I think for us over time, why are you moving me?
Because you shake the camera.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry.
Jeez. A lot of times like people get in this aspect of like everything has to change at the new year. Everything has to change into a different product, a different business, a different lifestyle, a different this or the different that. And like, if you're constantly restarting every 12 months, that'd be like, hey, like if it doesn't work out the first quarter, so now we're going to restart every every April 1st. Like it just doesn't work out. Like consistency, sticking to your program, sticking to your systems, whatever that may be, is what gets you kind of where you need to go. And I think you need to plan for the upcoming year, right? Like plan 100%. On what you want to do, the metrics you want to hit, the things you're going to do to hit those metrics, and like long-term vision of that. But trying to just like change everything all of a sudden because it's January 1st, 2025, like that's just a date. Like that's just another day of the week. Like that's no different than January 2nd. Like if you start taking action and continue to take action, like it doesn't matter what date it is.
I agree with you totally. I feel like for me in particular, I don't know if it's in the female entrepreneurship space more so, or the groups and communities I've been a part of, is I feel like there is so much weight, vision board parties and all of these big resolutions. And I love the energy and enthusiasm, but I think also it creates unwanted pressure. And so I figured out really is just like, this is a continuity, as Justin said. How I plan each quarter is exactly how I will continue to plan each quarter. So let's talk a little bit. What have you done to plan 2025 for your business up to this point?
Nothing.
Okay. And why is that?
Cause what's working right now is working. So like I have some changes in some systems and some things we're going to implement as far as like production, we're going to bring in house. But as far as like planning, like quarter one is this, like I have my schedule planned out. I know like, hey, I'm going to go to these knife shows. I'm going to these events. I have these contracting trips already arranged. Like I have that stuff planned out, but I don't have like in Q1 of X, we are going to completely revamp this thing and try something new. Like we are going to kind of stick with what's working. We know what models sell the best for us. We know when they sell. So there'll be some things we try. So I guess I've planned it out, but it's just not this huge thing. It's not this huge to do. I didn't have a bunch of buddies over and we had like bourbon and just like hung out in the shop talking about like what we're going to do. I think a lot of that is like, it feels good and it's like good energy, I think, but we've talked about it too. Like you get to a place now where you're just like I want to be around people that take action. Like that's cool if you want to meet up and do these things and talk about all this stuff, but like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah, it's the how, right? It's like one thing to plan. It's another to execute the how and the strategy. And I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that would be your response because I love that response because it's not big and grandioso. And same for me to some degree. It's a lot of combing back through. And this is what I walk our BDCers through when we plan out our 25 is we can't look forward if we don't look back, right? Like to Justin's point, he knows what models work. That's no different than in our coaching businesses. We should be unpacking like what offers sold the most of, because sometimes we're super emotional. Like, I just love this coaching thing. And then we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, it wasn't even a 10th of my revenue. So what does that tell me in my business? So part of this is making sure you're taking the time to just look back and ask yourself what's working. I actually think I asked myself the wrong question. For a lot of my business, I was focused on what was broken instead of focused on what was working. And by focusing on what's working or the models that are selling the best or the coaching offers selling the best, then you know how to rinse and repeat. So same for me. I've mapped out some of our big promotions. I know that I'm going to be adding a new offer in, but I already know right now I'm adding in one new offer. We haven't even added an offer into our business for 2 years. So this is a big step for us because we've been so focused on optimization and actually not doing different things, but rinsing and repeating what's working really well.
No, there's no green plate challenge this year.
You guys, when I first started a business, it was a January challenge and it was a 30-day green plate challenge. And I was like, so basically the nuts and bolts of it was people joined in and they had to post pictures that they were eating greens. I think I even said like 2 to 3 times a day. I don't know. And
it's ridiculous. Like
it lasted forever.
Die from that many vegetables.
It lasted forever though. That's when I learned that, okay, it's quality and not quantity. Intensity can't last for 30 days. So there was a lot of learnings. Let's just say I've come a long way. All right. So we're going to put each other on the spot here. You ready?
Sure. Oh, one thing on just what you were talking about too. Like also, I think one of the important things when we talk about planning, when you talk about the new year is like know your business. So like for me, I went over a lot of stuff in September and October because I know November and December are like two of my 2 biggest months of the year for sales. So I do not want to be diving in on November and December trying to figure out 2025 and missing out on selling and making knives for November and December and have that stuff set ready to go and miss out on a bunch of revenue because I'm trying to plan for something that's ahead. Like I know that there's going to be sales during these times. What can I do to maximize those? So that planning, that idea of what our roadmap of where we're going for 2025 was set before that because I didn't want to have to deal with that those last 2 months. right? So I think just also understanding what works in your time and how your business works with the calendar year is important.
That's good. Ditto. I would say the same thing. We're not planning now. We've already done our planning. I'm walking my community through planning now because many of them haven't or don't have a system yet. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot and we're going to ask this question of each other.
Okay.
If we look back at the year, what do you think I did well? Maybe or improved.
To say that.
So, what I did well, or you could even say like, what did I improve upon?
I think just like honestly, like sticking to the stuff that you have and making it better, and like truly using data to drive where you spend your time and what you put things into, and not like emotional data, not like, oh, I like this. Like, no, like, hey, where's your revenue coming from? Oh, it's coming from this. Oh, like how much? Like, oh, 60%. Well, then like, let's like dive into that more. And I think you did a really good job with that and actually being like tactical with it and not just like, I don't know if this is working. I'm going to try something else when you're not even doing the experiment long enough to like have true results.
Good. I appreciate that feedback. How about personally?
I think just your growth, just like you are much more empathetic than you have ever been, I would say. You like are like, I think we've both been like less judgmental over the past couple of years, like really working on that. Just
thanks to
not commonly comparing and like just letting like God work on our hearts and like, and change that in us. I think those things, with the daughter starting high school, like you have been a tremendous mom to her. Like it's so cool to see you guys like at nighttime and she just wants you to kind of like lay and just talk and like just vent about her whole day and tell you everything. She's like, good night, Dad. And like, Mom, can you come lay with me? And you talk for 20 minutes. And I just think that's awesome because it's just, yeah. So I think you're doing pretty great all around, especially for 43.
Yep. First podcast recording as a 43-year-old, actually. Yeah. Okay. Could I answer the question? You're not really in charge.
I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to throw it back to you though, just so we can be, on the same page. So, I'm going to start with a personal. I think that this year's like your patience level is like massively elevated. Like the way I can tell that you're so methodical and intentional about the way you reply to people when you've been living in a world where you were basically your performance was based on this judged in a lot of ways on your speed of response, right? Like how quickly you can take action is critical when you're a police officer. And when you're in a room full of guys that you need to be clear and abrupt, that doesn't always translate well when you come home.
True story.
So I feel like being removed from that and knowing like with the kids and with me, there's like so much more grace and so much more. I can almost watch sometimes your wheels turning where you want to say something and then you reframe it in your mind and it comes out something totally different. And I can acknowledge and be like, I see you. Like I know how you wanted to respond and you took the time to regroup. So I love that. But I think the same thing, like the way you're showing up for Miller, you know, you guys have specific time set aside for Bible study every week, just the teachings. I just feel like he's at such that critical age. So yeah, I love that. I can see so much growth.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think one thing, like, I think a lot of times people will just say like, oh, that's just how I am. Right. And I've said that before. I think we both used to say that. But it's like, it's such a cop out. Like, how do you want to be? Like, how do you want to respond to people? How do you want to live? Like, how does God call you to live? Like, be that way. Stop using that. Oh, that's just, I'm away. That's just the way I am. I'm just brutally honest, or I'm just abrupt, or I'm just abrasive. Like, maybe a little, but you're also choosing to stay that way. So if that's causing friction in areas of your life, like if you and your wife are getting in arguments because you're constantly abrasive, like, maybe change that so that doesn't happen. Or do you not care? Or if your kids don't really want to talk to you because you're not available and you don't have patience and you don't have those things, like, do you want to change it or not? Like, I think you have to constantly grow and evaluate those things. And it's up to you to do it, man. Like I have a conversation with guys a lot, like, especially from my line of work or similar lines of work, right? Because we are constantly we are constantly in high pressure situations. Like like she said, like we were trained to react quickly and swiftly and decisively. Like there's a group of 40 dudes that all they do is train for like the worst situations in one of the biggest cities in the world or in the country. And like you have to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what your job is to do. So understanding and separating those things out and then trying to adapt that and change for your family is like it's a big deal.
Yeah. My professional growth piece that I would.
For me?
Yep. Yeah. The thing that I have seen personally is just like you standing in your brilliance.
My brilliance?
Like you're totally fun. Just like you recognizing you're really good at what you do. Because I think there's that transition, right, of being really great at being a sniper and business being secondary, but now that's flipping, right? And for you to be like, wow, I'm really good. Like, and just owning that and stepping into it from like the way you introduce yourself, right? And shifting that identity away from the old thing into the new thing. And I think that just has like a ripple effect across everything, the way you talk, the way you, I don't know, just like so many elements have flipped for sure.
Thanks, baby.
Yeah. What did we suck at as a couple this year?
Gosh. I don't know. I really don't. I don't like it. I think like as something we did not do good as a couple. I don't know.
You don't have an answer for that.
I don't. I think it was a pretty good year. So if you're going to blindside me.
I'm not. I was just curious if you had. I mean, I'm always looking for opportunities for continued growth. And I think that, you know, the thing that's challenged me personally this year is just finding that balance of like having our son at home and homeschooling. And I would say the thing that I think we got really great at was that's also the area where I feel like I'm never doing enough. And so I always share that struggle with you. We've had Miller home for almost, we'll have a second school year now. So here we are like, yeah. Oh yeah, officially. Yeah. Like having him home, we're both running businesses. We both want to be present. Like it's definitely never been I'm homeschooling or you're homeschooling. I feel like we're both really diligent and this is a team thing because I would have probably not taken it on completely solo, but it's like, I'm like, dang, we did so much better this school year. But at the same time, I feel like there's always growth that I'm like, oh, I want to do more still.
Yeah, I think there's always the wants to do more, but I think like I don't think we sucked at anything.
Yeah. Maybe that
like,
word was too deep, too harsh.
Like I would say, if anything, like availability to like friends and socialize was probably more limited this past year than it ever has been, and I think you can feel that a little bit. Like I can, like just the community aspect, yeah, the disconnect of stuff. But it's also good in different ways, right? Because it gets you focused on those things. So I think it's just that continual like balancing act.
Yeah. It's like the season of life is acknowledging that the kids, like I felt this year I think it's her starting high school. I felt that scarcity of time for the first time heavily. Like, oh my gosh, she has 4 years of high school and then it's college. So I find myself wanting to like hold on stronger.
Yeah, she could be out of our house in 3
Holy
years.
Crap, that hits me across the face. And so I think also to that social point, I'm almost like okay with it more than I ever have because that extra time I want to spend with, you know, the kids, but also I also feel that scarcity with our parents, you know, having just went through a season of a lot of loss in my own life with family members. I feel like we've both had that conversation over and over. So it's like I want the time with all of them. And I definitely think that spending time in friendship has been something that's, I would say, third, fourth, probably fourth, fifth on the priority list for sure.
So yeah,
for sure. Okay, so let's flip the switch a little bit. What do you think is something we've done really well together this year?
I think just being present and not going crazy in any specific area. Like I think you have done an awesome job of like disconnecting a little more, like when you're not working.
Workaholic here. I love
so I think that's been like really, really good. And then just being more intentional, I think, with things like not letting 2 weeks get away and like, holy crap, where did that go? Like having quality time every day or every few days with the kids, with each other. I think that is something we've done really good. And then I think just gotten out of the mindset of like trying to make something for the future. Like, hey, like you're working really hard right now because, and I get to this point, we're going to do all these things. Like Like, you don't know when all those things can happen. So like, just start living it now. Like, work hard, do the things you want to do. But like, if you grow and you make all this money and you are not around, and you're not enjoying life, like we always talk about like the reverse engineering thing, right? Like, what do we want life to look like? Well, like, hey, how can we make it look like that a little bit more right now?
Right now. I agree with you. We've done a really great job.
I think we've done a really, really good job of that. Like taking trips, going on vacations, like, doing things that we want to do to our house. Like, and like, yeah, we could probably work a little more. Like we could definitely each work like 60, 70, 80 hours a week and just go. But the stuff we would miss out on, it's not
like our definition of success.
No. It might be someone else's, and that's great. Yeah. Right. And that's cool. Just not us.
I think another thing we've done, I agree with you on there, but another thing that I think we've both done well is like giving of our time and resources in service to like other people who need it. I feel like we, especially when young kids and go, and me in particular was driven so much in like revenue and profit and go and grow the business that, you know, something as simple as like helping a neighbor or donating money or resources or making a loaf of sourdough for someone.
Just coaching at church.
Coaching, yeah, and volunteering your time there. I think that was something I know in my heart. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know I was missing it until I started seeing the power of it. And how it models. Our kids are so good at just immediately thinking about, oh, this person's going through something. How do we take care of them? And I think we've definitely done a better job of that this year, for sure. Okay, so not to look too far ahead, but we've been talking a lot about things that we're interested in doing. And when we look ahead at 2025, we brought up this idea that like, do I want to learn to play an instrument? Specifically, you playing the harmonica.
Yeah, maybe.
But have you thought about just interesting things? I was super intrigued. I am super intrigued by Jesse Itzler. He is the husband to Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx and Sneaks. He does so many cool things. We both utilize his big ass calendar, which is a great planning tool. But he's always talking about, I'm going to say the word wrong, but
I don't know. Just explain what it is.
I don't know how it is, but it's basically like something in your life that takes you out. You basically plan for something that takes you out of your comfort zone or something that's going to be new and different and hard that's going to challenge you each year, and how you kind of put one on your radar. And I feel like from a professional place, I've done that consistently, but from a personal place, so I thought, I'm going to hike the Grand Canyon, or we've talked about like learning to play. I mean, I have a slight interest in learning to play the guitar. I don't know if it's really that exciting, but like what's on your radar? Anything yet? Or interesting things?
I don't know. I think some type of longer like endurance event, depending on like how the back is. But I think that'd be, even if it was like and not even like an organized thing, like, hey, like I'm just going to go for, like, it might even take me 2 days, like 50 miles, just go like,
kids and I'll drive alongside
just like a pack and walk, do my wog, walk, jog. Something like that, I think really interests me, just because I think the mental aspect of it, like I battle with that. Like there's definitely that like quit factor, like just stop. This is stupid. Why do you need to do this? So I think as you get older, you miss some of that, right? I think as you get older, like especially coming from the SWAT team where there's tons of competition, like you're pushing each other,
college football,
playing football, like in college, like those things, like you miss some of that. So I think just finding something that can like drive that, I think is something big that I want to figure out. I don't know what exactly, but something.
Yeah. I think I always go back to like athletics, because that sport is like, okay, I've done the marathon. Should I do another marathon? I don't know. I agree with you.
You do like the high rocks.
Yeah. I don't know. What is that?
High rocks is like, it's like CrossFit-esque. Like it's like the cooler new version of Spartan. Oh. But it's like, there's like burpee broad jumps. There's kettlebell stuff. There's like,
oh, that sounds fun. Yeah. I'd be interested. Two things though I am thinking about that I want to do better, and maybe this will plant seeds, but I'm going to put it here for accountability. One is I want to do the splits by the end of 2025.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. We should do that.
For you.
Oh, No, for you too.
Oh, no desire to do that.
I want to go back to my dance days, but I just feel like there's like I think the bigger piece is just mobility and having that, because I totally resist mobility work consistently. And as I'm getting older, I know the value of how critical that is for long-term health and metrics and all the data coming out. But the other thing I want to actually do is track my days off. So super inspired by Dan Sullivan, who runs Strategic Coach, and he has some metrics, and he talks about basically 3 types of days: off days, buffer days, and then all in days. I forget his wording. But I have a hard time, as Justin already alluded to, like I love my job. I love to like tinker and make things work and ideate, and I have a hard time shutting it off. So I want to measure the days. I want to have a goal for those days and really track like days off where I don't even check email, or maybe I put a cap, like 15 minutes of email or under, or something like that.
That would not be a day off.
I know. I don't know.
This says
trying to
track full days off.
Okay. Full days off.
She's already changing it. She's already changing it.
My notes, full days off. But I do want to track that, because I think the outcome of that is just like a higher level of creativity.
But does that tracking that day count as work?
Stop. Don't be so dumb. No. I think that I think we're on so much. You should track this too, I feel like. Because I think what it does is it totally stifles your creativity and that like visionary piece. It's why we go for a run, we get in the shower, is we have these downloads of amazingness, is because we're off, and we don't create that if we're on and running our business and inside of our business every single day. So it's definitely something I am 100% committed to tracking. Anything else creeping on your radar? You don't have to have anything.
Well, yes, I would say like for me, it's like just more efficiency, right? Like, not going out into the shop for an hour here, an hour there, 2 hours here, 2 hours there, like get a good efficient day of work in. And then that opens the doors on the other side of things. Right. So I think that, and then honestly, just like start some, like have a men's event in 25. Like that's one of the big things I want to do. That's like
more accountability partners there.
Yeah. Just have an event for dudes to come to here in Phoenix, Peoria area. Like, I don't know, a couple hours or whatever, just to talk about like hardships that I think men face, like those struggles, those pressures, and just how to be able to deal with it. Like, and be a little more, not aggressive in it, I guess, but like not just so like, oh, it's fluffy. It's so fluffy. Like you need to heal your inner this and that, and like have your wife like making you cry about something that you didn't even know you went through 7 years ago. Like, no, dude, like you're a man. Like things are hard. Like you can choose to deal with it on your own, or you can pass it to your wife and kids. Like where do you want the burdens to go? And I think just really dive into that and have something. That idea has been in my head for a really long time. And I think it's just something I want to do.
I love it. We're so grateful that you joined us for a little recap for the end of 2024. So this episode is literally live as we put a little ribbon tying 2024 close. So we are wishing you a wonderful new year. We hope you're celebrating with family and friends. I personally am so grateful that you join me every week on the podcast. And that I get to spend 2025 with you. We've got an amazing lineup for January planned, and February, amazing guests coming on. We've got a live event for you that we'll be hosting in April. We've got opportunities to learn and grow in 2025 together. I'm just grateful that you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, you can do that now. So the episodes come right into your, onto your phone every single week. But I'm so grateful for you, for joining, for being open to recording.
Always.
Do you want to say any parting words?
Just start. If you're not started, start, take action. If the new year's your time to do it, go do it. But just be consistent in it and get after it. Like it's not that hard, but it's super hard. But like just do stuff every day and you'll get to where you want to be.
Agreed. Totally.
And you're hot.
Well, thanks. Appreciate you for that.
Always.
All right, you guys, it's been an amazing episode. Thank you for joining. And if you have one person on your heart that you feel like this episode could benefit, would you do me the biggest favor and just copy and paste the link, text it to them, drop it to them in a DM, or if you're listening, screenshot the episode, share it in your stories, because that's how more people find our work, my work, our work. So again, Happy New Year, and I cannot wait to be with you in 2025.